Radio TV phono nut here, and what we have torn apart on the bench is a RCA 5-tube radio, probably from about 66 or 67. It's made towards the end of the tube era. This was one that a YouTube viewer sent me, and I appreciate it very much. We're going to try to get it going here in just a few minutes. Now, despite his efforts to pack it to the point to where it wouldn't get damaged, UPS still managed to break the cabinet here, as well as break loose one of the studs here. That can all be fixed with clamps and epoxy, but right now we need to get the radio working. Now, on that note, I'll give you a brief update on the Webcore record player that's been the subject of so much drama here lately. That got busted in shipping because of poor packing on the seller's part. I finally got my refund back on it, but I had to send the record player back to the seller to do it, and it was delivered this morning. And of course, the way eBay operates, as soon as it scans in as being delivered, they automatically refund your money. So now that's done, and the only thing that needs to be done now is to leave some appropriate feedback for the seller, so it'll try to protect anybody else from buying something big and fragile from him and having the same thing happen. I don't enjoy leaving negative feedback for people, but I think when a seller does a bad job, then you need to leave polite but honest feedback to let others know. And I'll say one other thing about the shipping damage. A personal story from my own dealings. 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know, heck, who keeps up with time? I sold a little portable kiddie record player with the front knob flippy thing on the cartridge where you could flip it from LP to 78, and of course I packed it well. Well, somehow or another FedEx managed to break the cartridge. They managed to break the shaft off where the flipper knob attaches, and the seller wrote me a message to that effect, and even though I knew it wasn't my fault, I told the seller that, I'm sorry this happened. I'll refund your money for the record player, or if you'd rather send it back to me, I'll repair it and return it to you, and just you tell me what you want to do. And he wrote me back and told me that, he said, no, I don't want any of that. He said, you packed it well, and I know this is not your fault. All I want to know is, where can I buy a replacement cartridge? He said, I can fix it myself. I just need to know where to get a cartridge. So I told him where to get a cartridge, and he ordered a cartridge, and a few days later he messaged me and he said, I got the new cartridge and installed it, and it's working great. Thank you very much. And that's the way you treat customers. Yeah, sometimes you're going to lose money, but especially, when it's something that's your fault, the best thing to do is just eat it and learn from it. Don't try to be a bullhead and drag it out. Because the way I look at it, if you treat a customer fairly, they might come back and buy something else from you, even if you were in the wrong. But if you act like a horse's patoot and not do the right thing, then that customer is never going to come back and buy anything from you, and they're probably going to talk and let everybody else know. And in the case of eBay, that's what the feedback system's for, is to let others know what your buying experience was with a seller. And in this case, it wasn't good, so the eBay buying public needs to be made aware of that. Okay, enough babbling on about that. Here's the across-the-line firecracker in this radio, and in this case, I believe it's wired between the center tap of the rectifier filament and circuit ground, and if this cap shorts, which they all seem to do, it will burn out the rectifier tube. I've had it happen twice in RCAs with this same chassis, and you know what they say, first time shame on you, second time shame on me, so we're just going to go ahead and replace this before we even go any further with it. And I've already checked it, and it's very leaky. Alright.
still got to pay. There's a reason the Cowboys would want to get out of it.
All right, it's playing, but as you can tell, it's very distorted. And we had some hum before I turned the camera on. We had some hum, and then it just kind of diminished, so that filter might be going bad, which is a replacement, by the way. Either that filter is going bad or we have a gassy output tube. You know, a gassy output tube can cause distortion and hum like that, so let's... Alright, we have a bad solder connection.
My commitment is to always be fair, accountable, and to follow the law. I ask for your vote on November 3rd.
Well, it did come in full blast there, off camera.
At Meridian Community College, our community is changing, and at MCC we are built for those who want to serve. Being essential has kept our community going. You can become that here, all at an affordable cost. Whether you dream of helping people through healthcare services or want to transport goods, connecting people with the products they need, we have many unique opportunities to help you find your purpose. Don't wait for change. Be the difference and register today. Become essential at Meridian Community College.
Come work out at a real gym. Shape Up 24/7 at 2210 Front Street. Shape Up 24 has it all, including state-of-the-art equipment, spin classes, body sculpting, self-defense classes, jiu-jitsu with Paul Joyner, and so much.
Alright, this .047 microfarad AVC filter is more leaky than the across-the-line capacitor, and I found this brand new .05 microfarad Elminco capacitor. Brand new ceramic case job, and it's very leaky too. So that just goes to show you, just because it's in a ceramic case, that doesn't mean that it's still good. So I found this old cap out of an old TV chassis that I junked. Leads are not long enough, so I'm using the leads off of the new leaky Elminco cap to extend the leads on this capacitor. Okay, I resoldered a bunch of questionable solder connections. Clean the tube sockets, some of them are a little bit on the worn side, and replace that AVC cap, and it seems to be
in sports, especially
working much better now. It's not cutting out on me like it was. And the next thing we need to do, you notice where they have the original cheater cord bypassed, and they have a regular cord crudely spliced onto that. Well, I'm still going to hardwire a cord in place, but we're going to neaten it up a bit, and then we're going to use a cable clamp to attach the cord somewhere where it can't be easily pulled off the chassis. Found a date code of the 30th week of 64 on the tuning condenser, so this was likely made for the 65 model year, unless, of course, like I said before, they had some year or two old parts on hand they were trying to get rid of. But at any rate, I know RCA used this chassis for years. I've got a clock radio with 1968 date codes in it that uses this same chassis, so yeah, like I said, they used that chassis for a number of years. Alright, I turned it back on, and now we have the filter hum again. So do we have a bad connection, or is this filter capacitor gone kaput? Alright, this is a Meguru brand. I can't say that I've ever heard of that brand of capacitor. 80 microfarad at 150 volt and 50 microfarad at 150 volt. It's not really critical, but I wouldn't want to go over 80. Somewhere between 50 and 80 would work, and 30 and 50 for the second one. This thing looks like it might have gotten hot at some point in time, but that could have been tube heat. And this thing could be intermittent. I haven't seen an electrolytic capacitor be intermittent much, but I've seen it happen a few times. Once was my own stereo receiver that the main filter capacitor intermittently opened up in, and well, it like to scared me to death whenever it all of a sudden started humming very loudly. Alright, new filters installed. Let's see what happens.
Like, we see this happen all the time. When you get new information, new inspiration about different areas of your life, you can make changes that truly change your life.
And I'm getting an email of live events, and he's telling me we have...
Okay, we got WSM coming in, and that's good. I'm hearing some static, too. That kind of sounds like silver migration disease, and the IF transformer is about to rear its ugly head. But anyway, while we're waiting on the SMD to rear its ugly head, I want to talk about the new rule that the FCC proposed, or actually they didn't propose it, they said it was okay for existing AM stations to turn off their analog carriers and go digital if they choose to. Yeah, these IF transformers are starting to go batty, but yeah, I've done a lot of thinking about this subject and listened to what some others had to say, and here's the key word: it's voluntary. It's not like the digital TV switch where the FCC said you're going to change over to digital. They're saying you can change your AM carrier from analog to digital if you want to, and quite frankly, I can't see stations jumping on the bandwagon to do that. Number one, it's going to cost a fortune, and a lot of these AM stations are having a hard enough time hanging on as it is. They're not going to go spend mega bucks to change over to a digital signal that the majority of the people most likely can't hear right now anyway because of the lack of digital radios, and I really can't see digital radio sales taking off anytime soon. So yeah, I don't really think there's any need anybody panicking over the analog AM broadcast ban going away. It's not likely gonna happen anytime soon. And if it does, then you know, there's Part 15 AM transmitters, and there's modifications you can make to these old radios to add an audio input jack to them, but I just really don't see the need for having to go there anytime soon. If they want to make AM better, then revitalize the content, and I realize some areas still have decent AM radio stations. I don't happen to live in such an area, and I really can't imagine any of the stations in my area going digital. I think they would turn in their license before they did that, and all of the stations, for the exception of one, have an FM translator. So, you know, what would be more viable, and many AM stations are doing this anyway, is to stream their content over the internet, and I think that would be way more viable than turning off the analog signal altogether and going with a digital signal. You know, just run your existing traditional AM analog signal and stream your audio via the internet if you have the finances and the means to do that. So yeah, quit panicking about AM going away. It's not going to happen. Of course, in my area it could go away and I wouldn't miss anything really, for the exception of WHOC that I can sometimes get in the daytime with a decent radio and a long wire antenna, and the occasional oldie station that I can pick up out of Tuscaloosa. Every station around here could drop their carrier and it not affect me any. But like I said, I realize some people live in markets that actually carry programming that they want to hear, and I enjoy coming out at night and listening to WSM and tuning around the dial to see what else I can pick up. So there you have it. All right, enough babbling about AM radio going away. Let's get back to this thing.
Installed in the Texas.
Alright, I'm going to let this thing play a while, and if it don't get any worse than it already is, then I'm not going to worry about it right now. This is really a resurrection rather than a restoration.
All that happened, and I always
Alright, I just checked this cap, and both sections check okay. The first section, well, okay as far as not being open. The first section is a little bit leaky, but it's not open. But if this is intermittent, it may not test open. But right now, I think I'm going to just slide it back together and call it a day for now. Alright, here we are back together.
She knew.
I think that speaker's got a dragging voice call too, but...
Thursday night. Could this be the new Thursday night? Why can't you get a job? It's a must-win.
I can hear it better at low volume. Turn it up, it's not so loud, but yeah, I think that speaker is dragging. But like I said, this is more or less a resurrection rather than a restoration. And yeah, you can hear the static starting up. So yeah, these IF transformers are one day going to have to be overhauled if I choose to go that far with this.
And my wife's like, where's the financial base? Where's the financial base? You just took a pay cut in half twice? Yeah. It went from a couple of hundred to 120, and then, you know, now you're going to go to 60? I didn't do it by myself, so that's it.
Well, I think there's so much of it, too, that's in reframing failure or falling down. I was just speaking at Business Boutique last week, and I used the example of Sarah Blakely. Her dad, when they were around the dinner table when she was young, would ask the family, how did you fail this week? And they would celebrate it, because he said, if you're not failing, you're not trying.
All right, that's about all I've got for this one right now. More to come next time.